Hey, so what areas of focus for you guys this week heading into the first road meet?
Um, I think for us, it's just continuing to stay in a rhythm. I think, what a lot of the little mistakes we saw in the first meet were, first meet jitters. We got to dial in a little bit more on vault landings. And we want to be a little bit more solid, less wobbly on beam. But just getting a little bit better in all the areas that we saw deductions from one meet to the next. That's our plan moving forward. And we've got, Reese healthy again. So just making some lineup decisions and seeing if we want to, give some other people some opportunities this weekend. Those are sort of the main focuses.
What does it mean to you that here one weekend of the season, this is a top five matchup, and which it's been a while since Arkansas has been in the top five.
Yeah. Well, it feels like feels the same every weekend in this conference for gymnastics because, every team is just so strong and it can be anybody's night on any night. So, we're going to continue to just push our own limits. And, I think starting so strong like we did versus Georgia was a really great confidence booster for the team. And one of the first things they said when I asked, okay, how are you guys feeling about the meet? One of our seniors said, we feel really good, but we're hungry for more. So that is, very descriptive of just their feeling. Like they know they can be even better, but that was sort of baseline how they wanted to start the season. So we're just excited and motivated, and Alabama's a great team, so we're going to go in and do our thing and just compete.
Yeah, that was my final question. Was I know you never like prepare for the other opponent, but in terms of general respect, what do you think of Alabama and Louisa Blanco, an athlete who's been so, good?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have so much respect for Ashley and her program and how she, started her head coaching career last season. They have a really talented roster. So just overall, a lot of respect. They're a great team. Gymnastics is one of those sports where, one mistake, one fall can put one team ahead of another. So we're just, like I said, going to go in and just do our very best to compete and fight and be the best team that we can be. And, hopefully we can compete against the Alabama.
Dudley, go ahead.
Looking over back at that first meet, what were the highlights for you specifically? Obviously y'all had a good score, but just talk to me specifically about what you saw. Yeah, we were good there.
Well, I think that the obvious one is our floor rotation, just finishing the meet on such a strong note. I mean, 49.575 this early in the season is a fantastic score. So I'm really proud of that. I think some other highlights were obviously Cami Weaver starting out the meet with a stuck vault 9.9. I mean, that really, I think, set the tone for the whole competition and really boosted the energy of the team right there at the beginning. The other last thing I was just really excited about was some of our freshmen just going out and getting good competition experience and doing their job and being so solid for their first meet. I was so impressed with that, especially Priscilla Park and Haley Klein. They did a very good job. So I'm excited to see them continue to build confidence and compete really well for us.
And also a really good crowd, especially for the weather we were about to have, I guess. Talk to me a little bit about the passion that you see for Razorback fans for gymnastics these days.
Well, it just continues to grow and grow every year as far as support and enthusiasm for our student athletes. Obviously we do as much as we can to promote and market our program, but every year people show up and they come to our meets, they have a great experience, they cheer for our student athletes. It means the world to us and the girls as well. We weren't sure how big the crowd was going to be given the cold and the weather, and to get the crowd that we got, considering all the circumstances, I was just so excited, and the energy was really great in there. I'm excited to see the way that builds with our next few home meets.
Yeah. Excuse me. One last question. Obviously, this one is on Friday Night Heights, which is something the SEC network is doing to help generate interest. I would imagine that the girls are excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel a lot different. We're either on SEC Network or SEC Plus. And for the most part, we preach to our athletes, just, eliminate any distractions and just really focus on your job and your gymnastics. So hopefully they won't notice much of a difference, other than maybe a few more cameras, but it's blocking out those distractions is a big part of the mental game of our sport. But on the other hand, I think the exposure that gymnastics is getting these days is so exciting for our sport. I think for the first time ever. Arkansas is going to be on ESPN this season in our meet versus Florida. So it just continues to get more and more accessible, and we get more exposure as a sport in general. So I'm very excited about that. And it's pretty cool for our student athletes.
Appreciate it.
Courtney, go ahead.
Yeah, Jordyn, just a couple of questions. You talked about how kind of the meet this past weekend set the tone going into the rest of the season. But, I talked to Lauren and Serena the previous week before you guys started, and they were like, this team's just different. And you even said that in your before the season began and in your press conference last week. Did this week's meet against Georgia kind of exceed your expectations, or kind of prove to you that you're like, yeah, this team is different and there's a reason for that?
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it exceeded expectations, but it definitely met expectations for sure. I think when they say this team is different, that really resonates. And I think what makes them different is their hunger. Like, this team is so competitive, and they want to see this program get to a place it has not been to in a while. And so that is something that fuels them every day. I think we're going to continue to see that in competition, but we really do see it every single day. I said it before, just their reaction to the meet, it was not of complacency. It was of, let's continue to grow and get better. We're hungry for more. So I love that about them. I think it's really special. I hope that continues to compile year after year. And I think that we'll see, hopefully that impact the whole season.
I love that. And having you talked about kind of opening up on such a good note with that season opening best score. How does that propel you moving forward, especially with how, like you said, how tough the SEC is? Getting started on a good note, how does that help you guys build off of that performance heading into the rest of the season?
I think that the first step in striving to win any meet in this conference is having the belief that you can. And that is something that's been hard to instill in the program over the last 4 seasons, is just getting them to understand that you are good enough to beat any team in this conference. And so I think starting on that note, not just winning the meet, but scoring what we scored, and them being able to identify, we didn't even put up our best beam performance. We definitely didn't put up our best vault performance. We can be even better on bars. We weren't lights out across the board. I really do think they learned, okay, this can be our baseline, and we can be the consistent team that we want to be for the season. So those are the things we're talking about as a team. Obviously we have to prove that we can do that week in and week out, especially on the road. We focused a lot this week on adaptability with equipment, and we did, beam routines in different directions on different beams, different circumstances, different warm-ups. So we're really hitting on and being really disciplined about how we prepare the athletes. So I'm hoping that will pay off this weekend versus Alabama.
Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Cool.
Tom, we'll go back to you.
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned Reese's health. So decent chance for her to be on the bar rotation this week, or what?
Yeah, we're still evaluating. She's back and she's fully training on bars. The decision right now is, do we have her just go, or do we give her another week to get some more numbers under her belt? Obviously, she was incredibly prepared up until about 2 weeks ago when she tore that muscle. She was looking so strong on bars. So we're going to continue to evaluate over the next couple of days of whether it's, the best idea to put her out this weekend or wait. But she's looking good and feeling much better.
Do you have anybody maybe targeted for all around, or is that something that's, may not come into play as much this year?
Priscilla Park, we held her back from competing floor last week, but we did have her warm up floor almost as like a training opportunity to feel, okay, this is what it's going to feel like for you to do all 4 events. She's ready to go on floor. So, we're definitely looking at putting her in that lineup. So there's a really good chance that she may be in the all around this weekend.
All right. My last thing is, if you could help me out with a scoring question. I did not see the errors that resulted in, I think, Priscilla's bar score, and then maybe your leadoff. Is it Callie on?
Yeah.
Lead? What were the deductions? Did you see?
Like as a coach, we can always find deductions, even when the judges don't take them sometimes. I think for Callie and Priscilla both, it's just a matter of cleaning up very little things. So making sure that they're hitting those handstands right on top of the bar and showing that complete angle. If they're, within that 10 degrees, they should not get a deduction. But if they're, out of that 10 degree angle, then they will get a half tenth deduction at each of those handstands. Priscilla and Callie both have 3 cast handstands in their routine, which is a little bit different. You know, some other athletes only have 1 or 2. So they have to be even better at kind of showing the completeness of those lines. And just general form things, like there are areas that they can clean up, just feet and knees and form, things like that we've really addressed this week in practice.
Okay, thanks for that.
Mhm.